What's good, guys? Hope you guys are having an amazing day. Of course, this is the full card predictions for UFC Vegas, Lerone Murphy versus Josh Emmett. But of course, like I say with every week, guys, we can't get into next week without talking about what happened last week. So we're going to do a quick little recap. Of course, guys, I want to say thank you guys for all being here. And also, thank you guys for being so active in the community post, guys. As soon as I post something, there's always somebody who's liking it, somebody who's responding, somebody who's voting. So, guys, stay tuned, notifications on. Always, I will update you guys for my bets, my plays, what I'm thinking. And if anything pops up like a last minute, like a last minute pull out like Joe Pyfer, I'll switch my lock of the week last minute and we'll make a good lock of the week. This one was a little chalky in David Martinez, but we are still on a 4-fight lock of the week streak. One thing I want to say, guys, is I'm looking to make it 5. I'm looking to make it a 5-fight lock of the week streak. If you guys know, I'm on my highest lock of the week streak ever was 7-fight lock of the week streak. And I think we could pass it, guys. I think we could pass it. The reason why, I'm trying to build this streak going is because I want this streak to go into UFC 314, Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes, because I have a good lock for UFC 314. So stay tuned for that. One thing we have to do is we have to go over this entire card. I went 9-3, of course. We have to mention, guys, Julia Palacio did pretty good to the third round, but still, she lost. Bad pick. C-Rod has to hold this guy against the fence. This guy looks like a bantamweight against an actual, featherweight. So, very good if you guys got Costa and Ronaldo Rodriguez. I knew that, Kevin Borjas is very technical. How good is Joshua Van for beating this guy? And shout out to Joshua Van, man. That guy has been active as hell. He's going to be fighting Bruno Silva. But I will say, guys, I knew the possibility of Ronaldo Rodriguez losing, but I did not expect him to lose 30-27. I thought he should have been able to implement more takedowns, but he preferred to strike, throw that spinning kick, so it happens. Let's go over the bets. Of course, Manuel Torrez. I was really excited for that Joe Pyfer Kelvin Gastelum fight, but I might have just dodged a bullet. Everything happens for a reason, so let's go into the bets. The first bet, $50. Ronaldo Rodriguez by submission on points, David Martinez by KO on points. And this one doesn't go through because we know Ronaldo Rodriguez loses this fight pretty clearly. So I just want to show you guys that not everything comes with a win. But of course, one thing about hitting rock bottom is that there's only one way to go, and that's up. So I made another one with $3, and I said, let's do David Martinez, let's do Ronaldo Rodriguez, Raul Rosas Jr. By the way, that guy Raul Rosas Jr. for escaping that submission attempts is an absolute demon. Edgar Chairez, Brandon Moreno. I figured, bro, let's do it. I put Ronaldo Rodriguez. Should have put Kevin Borjas, but let's go. It happens. This one doesn't hit either. 5-leg parlay doesn't hit. Now we go into the next one. This one, Raul Rosas Jr. by submission on points. Edgar Chairez versus CJ Vergara doesn't go the distance, which Edgar Chairez is an absolute demon for that fight. Manuel Torrez with a beautiful KO. Obviously, this was -800, but I just needed something in order to build up the parlay. And then, will this fight go the distance? Yes, at a -182, which actually dropped. If you guys know, this fight to go the distance was a -215. And then right before the fight starts, it's dropping. So I'm like, let me take it. 4-leg parlay hits, plus 347. Let's go. And then Atabak Gutierrez by KO on points. Beautiful, beautiful KO. I don't know what the fuck Jose Medina is doing. David Martinez by KO or on points. Lock of the week, baby. Let's go. Raul Rosas Jr. by submission on points. GOAT. Edgar Chairez by submission on points. This guy dropped CJ Vergara. I thought he was going to TKO him. And I was like, no. And then he switches. I was like, damn, God loves me today. Manuel Torrez, Brandon Moreno by submission on points. Let's go. $3 for 31. And then $5 right here. David Martinez by KO on points. Raul Rosas Jr. by submission on points. Edgar Chairez by submission on points. No. Brandon Moreno by submission on points. $5 for 51. I figured, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm trying to make every single possibility to go. And then this one was a little bit shout out to Pick'em because I tailed my guy Pick'em for this one. The under 1.5 and Brandon Moreno. Let's go. So we had a good night. So let's go into Lerone Murphy versus Josh Emmett. It's going to be an absolute banger fight. So let's just get into the first fight, guys. Enough yip-yap. Let's just get into it. Let's go. Looking to go positive this week as well. So, Loma Lookboonmee versus Istela Nunes. We know Istela Nunes was set to face off against Molly McCann. And who knows? Maybe Molly McCann is now retired if she was set to face off against Istela Nunes. Loma Lookboonmee is a -590. Istela Nunes plus 390. Very good scrap. Muay Thai versus Brazilian. It's going to be a very good scrap. Loma is terrible on her back, but she's better on top. Loma is on a 3-fight win streak, looking to make it 4 in a row. Her most recent win is a win over Bruna Brazil, who we know Bruna Brazil lost to Wong Kang due to the wrestling. So, Loma's striking is very fast. She has that good Muay Thai style, and she can adjust very well in between rounds. Loma has great volume, great wrestling, and she has out-wrestled Sam Hughes, Denise Gomes, and Elise Reed. Matched up against Istela Nunes, who I believe was scheduled to fight Molly McCann. Correct me if I'm wrong. Istela is on a massive skid, 4-fight losing streak, with very little inactivity in between those 4 fights. She lost to Ariana Carnosi, Sam Hughes, Yasmin Uruguay, who we know Yasmin Uruguay got shit on by Kellen Souza, and Victoria Dudakova. This is a good Taylor matchup for Loma Lookboonmee. But we have to mention, Istela can enter her flow state very well. She has a ton of experience, and she's been there with the toughest of the tough. She can always show that she's always down to fight. She did dislocate her elbow in her most recent fight, so I hope she's fully healed. And that was a nasty dislocation. I think Loma by submission on points is very good here. She will look small, but she's compact, fast, and explosive. She's like a little Tasmanian devil. Loma by submission on points for me, over 2.5. I hope the over 2.5 could hit here, but it looks like it might not even hit because we know that Istela Nunes is on a 4-fight losing skid. The momentum is not on her side. She has gotten finished by submission before. We don't know. I am going to take that over 2.5 just for that little bit of a Hail Mary. But I will say Loma Lookboonmee by submission on points for me is the play. I know a lot of people are going by KO, but give me Loma Lookboonmee by submission on points. She's very good. She got a good submission win over Elise Reed with that rear naked choke. Give me Loma for the win. I'll go 29-28. If it's by submission, I'm going to go rear naked choke 3rd round. Vanessa Demopoulos versus Tatiana Alencar. This is a battle of the baddies. Battle of the baddies. This reminds me of Julia Palacio versus Lupita Godinez. I got to focus. Because if I'm not focused, I'm not going to pick this fight right. Vanessa Demopoulos minus 113. Tatiana Alencar minus 113. This fight will be tricky. Automatic 1-800-GAMBLER fight. I'm watching this fight for fun. Just like I think a lot of you guys will. Battle of the Gyats. We have to mention Vanessa is an absolute decision merchant. She has 3 wins by decision, 3 wins by split decision. If this goes to split, the judges are always on Vanessa's side, especially that we're in Vegas. She always slugs it out. Vanessa always throws overhands, throws wild, and has very strong base, which is one of her best weapons in her arsenal. She's very strong in her base. Everything she does is with 100%. She can do it all. Great grappling, very good cardio. She can get taken down at times. She most recently lost by submission to Jacqueline Amorim, but we know Amorim was a Charles Oliveira. You know, she was grabbing the inside of the glove, a Tim Elliott in this instance. Matched up against Tatiana Alencar. We talked about her when we talked about Stephanie Luciano. She fought Luciano twice. First fight on Dana White Contender Series, went to a draw, and then she lost the rematch. Tatiana needs more grit, more cardio, more focus, and she needs to focus more on her striking. Her striking is great. She sets it up and then she looks for a sloppy takedown. But if Talita can't take you down, correct me guys, my pronunciation is bad. If Talita cannot take you down, this is more likely a loss for her. She more than likely loses. The thing about Talita is she has no power, no grit, doesn't make noises when she strikes. So in the cage, sometimes that could look bad for the judges. We know Vanessa's always, These 2 ladies go to war. Vanessa might win in the judges' eyes because she always just does more. I think maybe plus 3.5 for Vanessa is great. Or maybe Talita, you could do a plus 3.5 for her, but I'm not sure. It's going to be a very close fight. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes to split. Vanessa's going to be the pick. Low confidence, guys, but let me know who you guys got, because this is a 1-800-GAMBLER type of fight, and I'm very interested in who you guys got. I'm going to take the over 2.5, and I'm going to go Vanessa Demopoulos by decision. Let's go. I was very high on Talita earlier, but after she lost, you know, I don't know. Victor Henry versus Pedro Falcão. This is going to be an absolute banger fight as well. Victor Henry's a minus 205. Pedro Falcão plus 158. I shouldn't be drinking soda right now, actually. Victor Henry, he needs to protect his nuts this fight. Victor Henry is a brawler. Moves forward with pressure. He has good head kicks, elbows, and can always just scrap. He's always there to scrap. He lost by sub to Charles Jourdain, but that's not a bad loss. We'll take it. Victor Henry has wins over Tony Gravely by split decision and Ronnie Yaya. We know that fight with Javid Basharat was crazy. It was a fair stoppage, fair no contest. Matched up against a crazy Brazilian grappler, another sloppy striker looking to drag you down, control you, land some good pop shots, slow down the pace, win the fight. He lost most recently on short notice, step up on 3 days notice. We know that his most recent loss, guys, is to Victor Hugo by decision. I don't take that much into consideration because that was on 3 days notice. Pedro won on Dana White Contender Series against James Barnes by KO 3 years and 5 months ago. That didn't get him the contract. But Pedro's most recent fight, he looked pretty good. The pick is going to be Victor Henry. But I will say, guys, I think the over 2.5 might hit here. Victor Henry's a straight-up dog. He's like a Clay Guida, guys. But you don't want to put all your marbles in one basket. Plus 3.5 for Pedro is the play as well. Victor Henry to win by veteran experience and by decision. But if we want to take a double chance, I'm going to take him by KO or on points. We do know that he KO'd Ronnie Yaya. I don't know how high of a good win that is. I expect this fight to go over 2.5. I'm going to go Victor Henry by decision. Let me know who you guys got, though, because that's going to be a banger fight just like this one. Rhys McKee versus Daniel Frunza. Rhys McKee plus 142. Daniel Frunza minus 184. Rhys McKee's a dog who's fought the who's who. He lost to Hamza and most recently lost to Angelos and Nzechukwu. Who that loss to Nzechukwu by decision is not bad. We know Nzechukwu finished Alazio Zaleski, so Rhys McKee is tough. Rhys deserves to be here. Honestly, he left for the UFC. He left from the UFC for 3 years and he came back. Rhys is long, great at managing distance, landing good shots. He doesn't wrestle, but against the cage, he tried to hold Chidi against the cage a lot in that fight. I don't know. There was a lot of holding in that fight, but it happens. Matched up against Daniel Frunza. Daniel Frunza is making his UFC debut after having a successful Dana White Contender Series debut against Vadim Kutsky with a KO win. Daniel Frunza has never lost by KO. He does have 2 submission losses, one in the first round and one in the second. Daniel has 1 win by decision, and the rest of his wins are 8 by KO. He's a KO artist. No matter what, Daniel is a dog, and he has that power throughout all 15 minutes. I feel like Daniel Frunza might get taken down in this fight, but I expect him to work his way back up, and you better not get held against the fence. Excuse me. Daniel Frunza, you better not get held against the fence. We know Rhys McKee is going to be trying to hold this guy against the fence all day. He's going to try to slow this fight down, make this fight sloppy, make this fight boring, make it ugly, slow down the pace. I will say Daniel with all his power and finishes versus an actual veteran experience might make this a massive red flag to bet on. Rhys McKee plus 3.5. I like it because I expect this fight, it could go the distance. But give me Daniel Frunza by KO on points. Frunza for the win. I'm going to take Daniel Frunza by KO on points. Majority Tapology is going Frunza by KO, but I can't put all my marbles in him by KO because this guy Rhys McKee is an absolute dog. So, I'm going to go Daniel Frunza by KO on points. Double chance never fails me, and it won't fail me this time. Diane Barbosa versus Diana Belbiţă. Minus 500 for Diane Barbosa. Diana Belbiţă plus 340. Plus 3.5 could be a lifesaver in this fight. Diane Barbosa just recently lost to Miranda Maverick, who we know Miranda Maverick is scheduled to fight Rose Namajunas. Prior to losing to Miranda Maverick, Barbosa was on a 4-fight win streak with 2 wins over Ernesta Karakik, with 2 sub-wins over Ernesta Karakik and Ryan Gorigo, and the other 2 wins by decision in LFA over Jessica Middleton and Mariana Piccolo. Diane is a dog, always looks to take you down and work her judo. She has great judo tosses and loves to capitalize on openings if she finds one. She did take down Miranda Maverick, which in my eyes is a very good look. Matched up against Diana Belbiţă. Diana Belbiţă is 2-5 in her last 5. Diana's most recent win is over Marina Oliveira 1 year and 9 months ago. Belbiţă can't wrestle if her life depended on it. She's a good striker, but on her way out in the UFC, this is a little bit of a goodbye for Diana Belbiţă. She doesn't defend a takedown. She doesn't defend hands. She doesn't defend anything. She got submitted by Molly McCann, and that's a massive red flag in my opinion. I'll take Diane Barbosa by submission. Barbosa has a good armbar, a great rear naked choke as well. Diane Barbosa by submission on points, double chance for me. I wanted to go the over 2.5, but guys, Barbosa should be able to finish this fight. I'm going to go Barbosa by submission, and if I have to pick it, I'm going to go rear naked choke. We know that Molly McCann was able to submit her with an armbar, so give me Barbosa by rear naked choke. Submission on points, let's go Barbosa, let's go. Now, this guy is one of the hardest guys to pick for me. Davey, the veteran, Grant. Davey Grant plus 150, Daniel Santos minus 194. This is an absolute banger scrap. Banger scrap. Davey Grant is a vet who I can't seem to pick a fight right. This guy always proves to me how much of a dog he is. Davey Grant's craziest win in my eyes is his win over Rafael Sansa with an inverted triangle choke. I was at work watching that fight and damn, bro, did that make my day, bro. I was just watching for fun. Looking at Davey Grant get that inverted triangle choke was absolutely insane. I still have never seen an inverted triangle choke live till this day. It's already been 2 years since that win. It's insane how much time flies. He then loses to Daniel Marcos, an undefeated fighter, by split decision, which some could argue could have won his way. And then he absolutely destroys Roman Tavares by unanimous decision. When you look at his record, 14-7, it looks like a massive red flag. But he has 13 fights in the UFC, and he grew up in the UFC. Basically, he got dropped by Tavares, but he still whooped him so bad. I don't know why I picked Tavares in that fight leading up to that card. Matched up against Daniel Santos, shoot box. 11-2 for Daniel Willy Cat Santos. His 2 losses are by decision. 3 wins by decision, 1 by split, 2 wins by submission, and 5 wins by KO for Daniel Willy Cat. Daniel Santos is a finisher looking to capitalize on a mistake that you make. Daniel Santos has very good low kicks, great BJJ, good armbar, excellent anaconda choke, just like Vinicius Morales. Davey Grant isn't huge for the bantamweight division, but I think he should be noticeably bigger than Daniel Santos in this fight. Leading up to the face-off, we'll find out on Friday. Daniel Santos lost to Julio Arce by decision 2 years ago. The pick is going to be Davey Grant. I'm not fading him anymore. Davey Grant hasn't showed to age one bit, but eventually he is going to show that he aged. Maybe plus 3.5 for Daniel Santos. I can see this fight going 1-1 into the third round and Davey Grant trying to take it over. But Davey Grant by submission on points for me, 29-28. I like Davey Grant, and I'm always going to back that submission factor aspect. I'm going to go Davey Grant, guys. I'm going to go Davey Grant by submission on points. I will say, though, guys, there is a TKO factor here. A lot of people are going by KO or on points. I will say, guys, I am going to go by submission on points. Medium confidence, but give me Davey Grant for the win. Let's go, my guy. Let's go. It's going to be an absolute banger card. Prelims, let's go. Gurule versus Ode Osbourne. We know Gurule is Gurule is a minus 215. Ode Osbourne plus 164. We just saw Ronaldo Rodriguez fumble the bag. We saw him fumble the bag pretty hard. So, we just saw Ronaldo Rodriguez fumble the bag hard against Kevin Borjas at UFC Mexico City. Ode Osbourne could have won that fight if it wasn't at UFC Noche. But Lazy Boy took over rounds 2 and 3, but some still give it to Ode Osbourne. Ode Osbourne is a UFC vet, southpaw. He has 1 win in his last 5 over Charles Johnson by split decision. And then he went to lose his next 3. He has 5 wins in the UFC. At 125, Ode Osbourne is a veteran with a known name. Ode's red flag is his takedown defense. Ode has good kicks, striking, and he can have some pop on his shots, some good pop. Ode Osbourne is looking way better than Ronaldo Rodriguez now that Ronaldo Rodriguez has lost. It seems like Ode Osbourne is the better fighter. I remember when Ode fought Manel Kape, he looked amazing early till that crazy finishing aspect from Manel Kape. We know Gurule is undefeated. Matched up against Gurule. Lewis is coming off of that win over Nick Piccinini by split decision on Dana White Contender Series, who we know Nick is a hard wrestler. Lewis has good cardio, good takedown defense, and a good get-up game. Massive step up in competition for Lewis. Lewis doesn't have wins over anyone notable yet, but he will be swimming with the Sharks in the UFC. He has a very clean record, and we know 2025 is not the year of the clean records. Plus 3.5 for Ode Osbourne, maybe no over 2.5. This guy making his UFC debut against Ode Osbourne being a minus 215 is absolutely insane. Lewis is going to be the pick, but I'm not betting on an undefeated fighter making his UFC debut. Hell nah. Give me maybe the over 2.5. 1-800-GAMBLER type of fight. There's a difference between picking and betting. I am going to pick Gurule. Maybe I might put him in a parlay, but I don't think so. I'd rather take the over 2.5 in this fight. I'm going to go Lewis. Low confidence because UFC debut. And 2025, everybody's losing their O, so that's one of the biggest factors I take into consideration. Give me Lewis by decision, 29-28. Low confidence. Let's go. Main card time. Robert Valentin versus Torrez Finney. This is going to be an absolute banger scrap right here. Robert Valentin plus 172. Torrez Finney minus 225. Finally, the 3-time Dana White Contender Series champ. Torrez Finney. He's here. He's finally in the UFC. It is about time. This is going to be a banger fight. I can't fucking wait. This guy, Finney, looks like a block, a cinder block, a menace. Robert Valentin had a lot of hype leading into that fight against Ryan Loder. I picked Valentin to beat Loder, but he kept getting out-grappled and he got finished in that fight on his UFC debut pretty badly with a crucifix position. Robert Valentin is a finisher, 3 KO wins, and he's more of a submission specialist. arm bars, rear naked chokes, and a great guillotine. Robert Valentin has 4 subs in the first round, 2 subs in the second, and 1 win by decision. He's very creative, but he relies on finishing you way too much, and he gets hit way too much. Sometimes he does have some crazy submissions, though. He lost in the finale, clearly and badly, but I don't think he's going to get finished here. Matched up against Torrez Finney, the GOAT. Finney is a star. Consistently getting rejected on Dana White Contender Series was probably the best thing that ever happened to him. After winning for the third time's a charm, he gets in the UFC finally. I don't know how Jose Medina got into the UFC before Torrez Finney. What I like, what I like about Finney is he is compact, he is great, and he has great fight IQ. Finney's only 5'8", but he makes up for it with his insane physique. Torrez has a great ability to always win no matter who he faces. Finney's best attribute is his insane cardio. With a guy that big, I wouldn't expect his cardio to be so good. Finney is the pick. I can't wait to see this guy fight. But it would be insane if this guy wins 3 fights on Dana White Contender Series just to lose his UFC debut. Imagine how much of a meme this guy will be. Finney's going to be the pick. A good parlay piece. Finney by KO on points for me. Maybe the over 2.5 could hit here. I'm very interested in what you guys are saying because he's undefeated as well. We got a lot of undefeated guys here. I'm going to go towards Finney by KO on points. Very interested in seeing what the people's pick is. Gerald Meerschaert versus Brad Tavares. By far one of my most anticipated fights on this entire card. Plus 190 for Gerald Meerschaert versus Brad Tavares, minus 250. 2 GOATs. Notable middleweights. Maybe I'm reaching when I'm calling them both GOATs. Brad is 1-4 in his last 5 with 1 win. That 1 win being over Chris Weidman. Brad, most of the time, goes the distance. He has 10 wins by decision, 3 by split decision, and 4 wins by KO in the first round, and 1 in the third round, and 2 submission wins. Brad Tavares has fought a lot of former champions. Brad is always tough, good low kicks, good pop shots, not too much power, but he can set a pace, and he's used to going all 15. He's coming off of that decision loss to Jung Young Park, where he got tired, but he looked pretty good early. His record is 15-10 in the UFC. This guy is a veteran. Matched up against Gerald Meerschaert, an excellent submission specialist with 12 submissions in the first round, 12 submissions in the second round, 4 subs in the third round, and even 1 submission in the 5th round. If Gerald Meerschaert, I don't know if this is going to be possible because he probably won't ever main event, but if he gets a submission in the 4th round, he will have a submission for the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. He would have submitted somebody in every single round, which is absolutely insane. And we know that he has 3 TKOs in the first round, 2 TKOs in the second round, and 1 in the third round. This guy's a finisher. And 2 wins by decision. Very impressive by far. But he needs to get better takedowns, and his striking needs to be better, and his chin kind of got cracked already. I think this will be a war. I might take the over 1.5 if the fight has good odds. If the over 1.5 is some good odds, I might take it, and I might jump on it money line. The question is, this might get sloppy and could go the distance. GM3 almost went the distance with RDR until he got tired and he got submitted in the 3rd round. Gerald normally needs this fight to go on the ground if he's going to win. 1-800 gambler type of fight. Gerald by submission on points for me. But damn, bro. Brad Tavares could win an ugly decision. He could absolutely win an ugly decision. I'm going to go Gerald Meerschaert by submission. But if everybody's on it, that means that it's not going to hit. I'm going to go Gerald Meerschaert. I wouldn't be surprised if he could win this fight by decision. If this fight somehow gets to the ground, he's controlling, landing some good pop shots on Brad Tavares. Brad Tavares gets up. It's 1-1 going to the 3rd round. And maybe we get a nice little Hail Mary submission from GM3. I'm going to go GM3. Low confidence, but give me GM3 by submission on points. Let's go. That's going to be a war. Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Martin Buday. Another banger fight. Minus 280 for Kennedy Nzechukwu, Martin Buday plus 210. Kennedy looks way better at heavyweight. It's about time he has more success moving up. More light heavyweights who aren't having success need to move up to heavyweight. We need to see this more. He's the only man to KO Carlos Ulberg. Kennedy has a loss to Ovince St. Preux, which he looked awful in that fight, but then he moves up. He beats Chris Barnett, and he beats Lucas Bresky, both by KO in round 1 after 4 minutes. So this might look a little bit similar. Matched up against Mr. Buday, a finisher with a lot of stoppages, 5 TKO wins, 3 submission wins. Good hands, good defense as well, but Martin Buday's chin will be tested here. He has high volume, but he eats one to give one. He just beat Arlovski by split decision. Who goes to split decision with Arlovski? What are you, Waldo Costa, going the distance with Arlovski? Are you dancing around, or are you going to war with Arlovski? You know what I'm saying? This will be a war. This will either be an absolute war where they throw the entire kitchen sink at each other, or they might slow down and it gets sloppy. But I favor this one to be a bloodbath, if not a crazy KO. Give me Kennedy by KO, and give me the over 1.5. We do know that with KO artists, though, maybe the under 1.5 could be way better here. I'm going to go Kennedy by KO. I'm going to go second round KO for Kennedy Nzechukwu. Let's go for his third win at heavyweight. All right. Cortavius Romeus versus Chung Hon Lee. Cortavius plus 132. Chung Hon Lee minus 170. Cortavius fumbled the bag Romeus. Cortavius is 9-3, decent grappler, good low kicks, pressure, looks to find a sub. He can't control someone on top if his life depended on it. He got 4 takedowns in his last fight against Gustavo Bulanos, but he got outworked in that fight and he got outstruck. Cortavius fumbled the bag against Roman Tavares. He got knocked out in the first round, 29 seconds, on Dana White Contender Series, and he also fumbled the bag in his last fight against Bulanos. He needs to be better on top control, and he needs to stick to you like glue, or else people are going to keep on outstriking him. Matched up against Chung Hon Lee, a guy with much more momentum than Cortavius. He always moves forward and will fight for your money. Feints look very good, and he always mixes it with a nice overhand into a sloppy takedown. Chung Hon Lee has 4 TKOs and 2 submission wins, and 4 wins by decision. I think the over 2.5 could be perfect here. Chung Hon Lee can trick many people because he has a lot of momentum. He's on a 4-fight win streak. He comes from the road to the UFC, and we know that those guys aren't sometimes the best. Another 1-800 gambler type of fight. I prefer the plus 3.5 for Cortavius, but we'll see. We'll see how good he is. He's going to be much smaller here. He's 4 inches smaller. We will see on Friday on the face-offs how much smaller he is, but I think him being smaller gives him an advantage for the takedowns. Cortavius is going to be the pick. I'm going to go Cortavius by decision. This is the last time I'm trusting you, Cortavius. You better clasp those hands. Hold this guy down. Take him down and stick to him like glue. And if he gets right back up, you can shoot again, but don't make it too obvious and don't shoot out of desperation. And work on your striking a little bit, because you're going to have to strike eventually. Whether you're fighting the best, whether you're fighting the worst, everybody has to strike in the UFC. So you got to get a little bit better in the boxing department, Cortavius. But I am going to pick Cortavius for the win by 29-28 after losing the second round. Let's go Cortavius for the win. Joe Anderson Brito versus Pat Sabatini. This is going to be another banger fight. Minus 235 for Joe Anderson Brito versus Pat Sabatini plus 180. Mr. Over-aggressive Joe Anderson Brito. Great co-main event war. Brito is a submission specialist with 8 submission wins and 7 TKOs and 2 wins by decision. So more than likely he might not win this fight by decision. But it is a possibility. Brito throws bombs. Always. This guy has hands made out of stone. This guy's always just pressures. Averages more than 3 takedowns per fight. And he most recently lost to Gomes in a controversial fight. Matched up against Diego Lopez's son, Pat Sabatini. Good grappler, good wrestler, good control. And he has very good timing on his takedowns. He needs to work on his chain wrestling and holding you down. He averages more than 4 takedowns per fight, which is more than Joe Anderson Brito. He has low volume, and he always tries to shoot right off the rip, and I think it's because he's chinny. He just subbed Jonathan Pierce 4 minutes into round 1 with a nice rear naked choke. Both of these guys are Jonathan Pierce's father. Pat Sabatini is chinny. His 2 losses in the UFC are both by KO to Diego Lopez and Damon Jackson, but to be fair, those guys hit like a truck. Brito by KO or sub is great here, but we know that this fight could definitely end by TKO as well. A lot of people are favoring Joe Anderson Brito by KO. They think he's going to knock out Pat Sabatini because Pat Sabatini probably has no chin, is what the majority of people are thinking. I think Brito might win. I think he's going to be looking for a finish here, but there's a chance that this fight goes the distance. I prefer double chance or even money line. I like money line. At a minus 230, guys, at a minus 235, I expected him to be a minus 400 by the end of this week. I really like money line because we don't know with this guy. He's crazy. He can get a KO, he can get a submission, and he can win a crazy decision. I'm going to take just money line, but if I am going to take a double chance, I'm going to have to go Joanderson Brito by KO on points. I wanted to go by submission on points. In fact, I might take both double chances, but by points. Brito by KO or on points, Brito by submission or on points. Or you could take Brito by KO or submission, but I don't really like that because we're banking too much on a finish. I'm going to take Joanderson Brito for the win. I'm going to go by 29-28, unanimous decision. I'm going to go Brito moneyline. Just give me Brito moneyline at a minus 235. I like him with Finney, and I like him with Lerone Murphy. Nice little 3-leg right there. Let's go. Joanderson Brito for the win. Main event time. I cannot wait for this main event. Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy. Lerone Murphy minus 330. Josh Emmett plus 240. Main event time. Josh Emmett, a wrestler with a record of 19-4. He's fought the who's who and even fought for an interim belt against Yair Rodriguez. This guy has 12 knockdowns in 14 fights. This guy is crazy. This guy would knock me out. The only fighters he didn't knock down in the UFC are Ilia Topuria and Yair Rodriguez. Correct me if I'm wrong. He averages 1 takedown per fight. His fight against Calvin Kattar was crazy. I thought Calvin Kattar won that fight, but the judges' eyes, they like to see forward pressure, and his straight power just wins him the fights because he's just throwing bombs away, and it looks good for the judges' eyes. He's coming off of that brutal KO win over Bryce Mitchell. We know Bryce Mitchell's fighting Gene Silva at UFC 314. I can't fucking wait. I think Emmett to land 1 knockdown is a nice play. You know, maybe if we have those props like Josh Emmett to land 1 knockdown, maybe that's worth a sprinkle. Matched up against Lerone Murphy, a good striker who looks to counter-strike, manage distance, touch your body up, work. I believe he got dropped by Joshua Culibao. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he got dropped by Joshua Culibao. And, of course, we know his most recent fight, he got dropped by Dan Ige pretty badly. But he recovered, and he took over the 2nd and 3rd round, and he was my lock of the week for that fight card. He can get taken down. He has a very low takedown defense at 48%. I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Emmett mixes in a takedown with an overhand right. But he always gets right back up, and he doesn't look like a wet noodle on his back. He doesn't take no for an answer. He's always getting right back up and working right back up. Lerone Murphy main evented against Edson Barbosa and went 5 rounds for the first time in the UFC, which is a very good look in my opinion. Cardio will be a factor, all 5 rounds. I think this fight goes all 5 rounds. But we do know only Ilia Topuria and Calvin Kattar have won 5 rounds with Josh Emmett in the UFC. Which I believe those are his only 2 5-round fights, to be fair. Lerone's pick is going to be the pick, but medium confidence. He needs the teep to the body. He needs low kicks, high kicks, and he needs to mix in very kick-heavy for this fight. He needs to watch out for bombs, not only towards his head, but Emmett throws bombs to the body as well, and he might set up the body shot to the head. We know that this guy was able to just flatline Bryce Mitchell. So who's to say he's not going to be able to flatline Lerone Murphy? Lerone is so tall, so he could definitely get hit with those overhand rights, overhand lefts, but he needs to implement what Yair Rodriguez did. Work the body kicks, expose his body, throw more teeps, and he can expose Emmett for being weak to the body. Lerone is going to be the pick by KO or on points. Maybe by submission, but we do know that's going to be a little bit crazy, guys. I think Lerone Murphy doesn't have any submission wins on his record, so give me by KO on points for Lerone Murphy. But I'm going to go by 48-47, 49-46, and 48-47 for Lerone Murphy to win this fight by unanimous decision. But this might even be a split decision, guys. This is going to be a crazy fight. I'm going to go Lerone Murphy, 48-47, 49-46, and 48-47. Work the body. Implement what Yair Rodriguez did. Work that body. Fast body kicks. We need the teep to the body. And we need to see the same Lerone Murphy we saw against Edson Barbosa. Edson Barbosa is nowhere near like Josh Emmett. But he can manage a pace. He can manage distance very well. And I think Lerone Murphy is going to be 16-0 after Saturday. Let me know who you guys got. It's going to be an absolute banger fight, a banger main event. I cannot wait to see who wins this scrap. But I know that no matter who wins, they're just right back into the mix of a title shot. They're probably 2 wins, 1 win away. Whoever wins this fight, maybe this is not a number 1 contender fight. But whoever wins this fight is less than 1 or 2 wins away, maybe even 3 at most. Whoever wins this fight is on the road to the title. Featherweight division is looking good. Next week, we have UFC 314, so stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for 6 best bets and lock of the week on Wednesday. We're looking to make the lock of the week streak to 5. It's going to be an absolute banger card. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's get it, guys. The best is blessed, baby. And let me know who your lock is or what is your good parlays. You guys have any safety parlays? Let me know who you guys got. 13 fight card. Let's hope all 13 fights stay in, because we don't want no fights to fall out. And stay tuned. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. The best is blessed, baby. Peace. Hey.